The stars of the outer void were quiet. No light, no sound, only the endless black. Imperial patrols moved slowly through the darkness, their engines humming like ghosts in an empty ocean. The Galactic Empire had ruled this part of space for 1,000 years, and nothing had dared to challenge them. Not for centuries. But that night, something impossible happened. On the command bridge of the Imperial battleship Vornax, Admiral Kale stood staring at the scanner screen. His officers whispered in confusion. A strange energy spike had appeared, right in front of their fleet, with no signal, no warp trail, and no logical source. "Report," Kale ordered. His voice was sharp, but underneath it there was unease. "Sir," replied the sensor officer, "something is forming, right in the center of the void. It's not debris, not radiation. It's structure." The crew watched as the black space began to shimmer. Light bent. Energy crackled like lightning without sound. Then, out of pure nothingness, a massive warship appeared. It didn't jump in. It didn't warp. It simply wasn't there, and then it was. The bridge fell silent. The ship was unlike anything they had seen before, black steel with glowing blue lines running across its hull, its surface shifting as if alive. No insignia, no code, no empire mark. Kale's heart pounded. "Identify that vessel," he demanded. The officers tried. Their scanners failed. "No data," one muttered. "It's blocking all readings." Then a junior officer gasped. "Sir, it's broadcasting something." Static filled the comms, followed by a human voice, deep and calm. "We have returned." The words were clear, old, and human. For a moment, the entire bridge froze. Humans? Impossible. The human species had been wiped out 600 years ago, during the War of Ascension. Every record, every trace of them had vanished. And yet, here was a human warship, standing against an empire of 1,000 worlds. The communication cut off. No signals followed. No explanation. The ship just floated there, silent, cold, watching. Admiral Kale felt the weight of the moment. "All ships, battle formation," he ordered. "Prepare for first contact." The fleet moved, surrounding the mysterious ship. But the closer they got, the more strange things began to happen. Their sensors went blind. Engines flickered. Weapon systems glitched, as if the ship's presence alone broke the laws of physics. One by one, Imperial ships reported strange malfunctions. "Sir, our targeting systems are offline. Our reactors are fluctuating. I'm losing control." Kale clenched his jaw. "Hold your positions." But then he noticed something. The mysterious ship wasn't attacking. It wasn't moving at all. It just stayed there, still, patient, as if it was testing them. On the main screen, the camera zoomed closer. Strange markings covered its hull, symbols that looked like old Earth text. Kale didn't understand them, but they carried a sense of power. "Send a hailing message," Kale said. "Let's see if they answer." The communication team tried, but every signal bounced back, twisted into static. Then, suddenly, the ship emitted a low hum. The lights across its body brightened. The crew held their breath. "Sir, we're detecting an energy buildup," said the tactical officer. "Power levels, increasing fast." Kale gave the order. "Raise shields." The Vornax's shield generators roared to life, but it was too late. A wave of invisible energy burst from the human ship, sweeping across the fleet. It didn't destroy, it disabled. All power systems went dark. Engines shut down. Weapons fell silent. Even the life support flickered. Within seconds, the Empire's proud armada was paralyzed. Kale stood in darkness, lit only by the red emergency glow. He could still see the mysterious ship on the screen. It floated calmly, untouched. "What kind of technology is this?" whispered one of the officers. "No known science can do that." Kale said nothing. He was staring at the view. Behind the ship, space itself looked different. Like a doorway, a shimmer of another dimension. It was as if the ship had stepped through reality itself. Then the voice came again, echoing through every Imperial comm, every speaker, every helmet. You have forgotten the ones who built the stars. You have forgotten the name of humanity. And then silence. The ship's lights dimmed, its form fading, dissolving into dust and starlight. Within seconds, it was gone, vanished exactly as it had arrived. Systems across the Imperial fleet slowly came back online. The officers were pale, shaking. Where did it go? What was it? How can a human ship still exist? Kale looked out into the blackness. His hands trembled slightly, though he tried to hide it. Record everything, he said quietly. Send it to High Command. The humans, they're not gone. For the first time in centuries, the mighty Galactic Empire felt fear. Out there, beyond the edge of known space, something had awakened. Something ancient. Something human. And as the stars of the outer void returned to their silence, one question haunted every mind aboard the fleet. If humans could return from nothing, what else could they do? The news spread across the Galactic Empire like wildfire. Every command center, every fleet base, and every governor's station buzzed with one impossible message. A human warship had appeared from nothing and vanished again. No warp signature, no known technology, no logical explanation. Only a message, we have returned. On the Imperial capital world of Vale Prime, the Grand Council gathered in the dark halls of the High Command Tower. Giant screens showed the broken fleet of Admiral Kale, floating in silence, still recovering from the strange energy wave that had disabled their ships. The counselors argued in panic. Some said it was an illusion, a trick by rebels. Others whispered that the old legends were true, the humans had transcended death itself. Grand Strategist Lurok slammed his hand on the table. It cannot be humans, he said sharply. Humanity was destroyed centuries ago. We erased them completely. But deep down, even he didn't believe his own words. Every system record confirmed the same readings. The energy signature from that ship didn't match any known source. It bent the laws of physics, twisted time and space like soft clay. The Empire's top scientists were baffled. This energy, one of them said, comes from no element we know. It's like reality itself obeys them. Meanwhile, Admiral Kale's fleet limped back to base. Repairs were slow. Many ships had suffered mysterious damage that engineers couldn't explain. Metal that refused to weld, computers that showed data from the past, clocks running at different speeds. It was as if space-time itself had been disturbed. On the Vornax, Kale stood at his window, staring into the endless stars. His second-in-command, Commander Rhine, approached quietly. Sir, the Council wants your full report. Kale nodded but didn't look away. They won't believe it, he said. Even I can't believe what I saw. Rhine hesitated. Do you really think it was human? Kale turned slowly, his eyes tired but sharp. That ship used human codes, old Earth patterns in its design. Its voice was human. And Rhine, there was something else. I felt it. When that ship appeared, the space around us changed. It was alive. The commander said nothing. There was no logic in Kale's words, but they carried a strange truth. Across the galaxy, strange things began to happen. Ancient satellites long thought dead suddenly reactivated. Forgotten ruins on old colony worlds started glowing faintly. The Empire's historians searched their archives, finding fragments of files marked Earth Command, classified. Many were deleted, corrupted, or locked by codes no one could break. But the few that remained spoke of something called Project Genesis, a secret human plan from before their extinction. The records ended with a single phrase, initiate only when humanity is forgotten. Fear grew inside the Empire's heart. The common people began to whisper. The humans are back. They never died. They will take revenge. In the outer colonies, some even began to pray to old Earth gods. Riots broke out in the mining sectors as workers refused orders, claiming they had seen lights in the sky shaped like human ships. The Empire sent troops to silence them, but even soldiers whispered the same rumors. In a hidden research station orbiting the moon of Terrace 4, scientists detected an incoming transmission. The signal was ancient, using pre-imperial frequencies. When decoded, it contained a short, chilling message: Phase 2, Awakening. The signal came from deep space, far beyond the Empire's borders, from the same coordinates where Kale's fleet had met the mysterious ship. High Command went into panic mode. They ordered every ship near the frontier to be battle-ready. A secret task force was created, Operation Shadowfall, to investigate and, if possible, capture the human vessel. Grand Strategist Lurok personally summoned Kale. "You are to lead this mission," he said coldly. "You've seen the ship. You will bring it to us." Kale bowed stiffly. "And if it cannot be captured, sir?" Lurok's eyes narrowed. "Then you will destroy it." Kale didn't reply. He already knew that would be impossible. No weapon they had could touch something that could bend reality. As Kale prepared his fleet, strange dreams began to haunt him. He saw flashes of old Earth, blue skies, oceans, and cities of light. He had never seen such things before, only read about them in forbidden books. Yet they felt familiar, as if buried deep in his blood. One night, he woke suddenly to find his ship's computer displaying a symbol he didn't recognize, a circle with 3 lines crossing through it. Underneath were words in ancient Earth tongue: "Remember who you are." When the engineers checked, they found no trace of the file. The system had no record of it ever existing. Kale began to suspect the impossible. The human ship was not just a weapon, it was a message, one that reached even into his mind. Back on Vale Prime, the council met again. Reports came in from every region: communications blackouts, strange gravitational shifts, and unknown ships sighted in the dark. None could be confirmed. The Empire was losing control, not through battle, but through fear. "They are testing us," Lurok said. "They want us to panic. Or they want us to remember," said one old historian quietly. Everyone turned to him. "The humans built the first gates," the man continued. "They created warp travel, terraforming, even the star forges we use today. We stole their knowledge and erased their name. What if they never forgave us?" Silence filled the room. For the first time in its proud history, the Galactic Empire trembled. Somewhere, far beyond the stars, something ancient was stirring. The humans were not gone. They were waiting. And soon, the Empire would learn why they had returned. For the next several weeks, the Galactic Empire was a storm of fear and confusion. The signal that had appeared on every system, Phase 2, Awakening, spread across the galaxy faster than the Empire could contain it. No one knew who sent it, yet every communications hub, every ship, and every AI core received the same message at the same exact time. Some dismissed it as a glitch, others as a rebel trick. But deep down everyone knew it was connected to the mysterious human warship that had appeared and vanished in the outer void. The Empire's propaganda channels tried to calm the people. "There are no humans," they declared. "There never were." But the words sounded hollow, even to those who spoke them. In dark corners of the galaxy, strange things began to happen. Machines that had been silent for centuries suddenly powered up. Ancient satellites started to move again, reorienting their antennas toward the same point in deep space, the coordinates of the human ship's appearance. On remote mining colonies, old relics of human origin began to hum with life. Tools, devices, even old human data chips long thought dead suddenly displayed strange blue symbols and flickering holograms of stars and DNA. In the Imperial Science Division, the top minds gathered to study the phenomenon. Dr. Hallen, the Empire's chief xenotech researcher, stood before a massive display showing the reactivated satellites forming a pattern across the galaxy. "This isn't random," she said. "They are aligning into a network, a kind of communication web." Grand Strategist Lurok frowned. "A weapon?" "No," Hallen replied. "A signal. Something is calling out, and the old human technology is responding." The room fell silent. Across the Empire, hundreds of forgotten human outposts were coming back to life. Some emitted energy waves strong enough to interfere with Imperial systems. Others sent encrypted data bursts that no one could decode. The Empire's finest AI cores tried to break the encryption, but all failed. The code seemed alive, constantly shifting, rewriting itself. One AI core even self-destructed after trying too hard to access it, leaving behind a single word on its final screen, Genesis. Admiral Kale, now leading the secret mission Operation Shadowfall, had returned to the edge of the outer void. His fleet hovered near the coordinates where the human ship had first appeared. For days, they scanned the void, searching for any trace. Nothing. Only silence and the faint echo of strange energy patterns. Commander Rhine approached him. "Sir, multiple reactivation events across the sector. Human tech is waking up everywhere." Kale nodded. "The Empire believes it's an attack." "I don't think it is." Rhine frowned. "Then what is it?" Kale looked out at the stars. "It's a signal. A call to something greater. I think they are preparing to return, not as conquerors, but as architects." The crew didn't understand, but Kale's words carried a strange weight. Late that night, as Kale sat alone in his cabin, the ship's lights flickered. A low hum filled the air, and a holographic image appeared before him. A woman in old Earth uniform, her face calm but stern. "Admiral Kale," she said. "You are not our enemy." Kale froze. "Who are you?" The hologram smiled faintly. "I am Commander Era of the Earth Defense Network. You do not know us, but your ancestors did. The Empire was built on our ashes. Now, humanity rises again." Before Kale could reply, the image vanished, leaving behind a single glowing symbol, the circle with 3 lines. The same one he had seen in his dreams. The next morning, Kale reported the incident to High Command. They accused him of hallucination, perhaps caused by stress. But before they could dismiss him, another message appeared, this time across all military channels. A clear human voice spoke through every speaker in the galaxy. "We were forgotten. We were erased. But we are still here. Project Genesis is complete. The awakening begins." The Empire's leaders panicked. They ordered immediate lockdowns of all communications. Fleets were mobilized. Planets went into emergency status. But it was too late. The message had already spread to the civilian networks. Billions heard it. The voice was calm, human, and full of purpose. It spoke of balance, of history, of responsibility. "You have built empires on our ruins. You used our science, our machines, our dreams. But now, the true creators return." Some people wept in awe, others trembled in fear. On outer worlds, humans were spoken of as gods. Old monuments of Earth began to glow, showing long-hidden messages written in ancient languages. One archaeologist translated a phrase found beneath a stone city: "We are not gone. We are the memory of the stars." In the Imperial Senate, chaos erupted. Senators demanded war. Others urged peace. Lurok stood before them all, his voice cold and steady. "We cannot allow them to rise again," he said. "If humans return, the Empire falls." Orders were issued for a full-scale assault on the reactivated human stations. Fleet after fleet was dispatched. But when they reached those coordinates, they found nothing but empty space. Every trace of the stations had vanished, as if they had never existed. Only a faint echo remained, a whisper through the void. "You cannot destroy what is already beyond your reach." Kale listened to the transmission in silence. His instincts told him the humans were not preparing for war, they were preparing to reveal something. As he watched the void outside his ship, he felt a deep hum, like the pulse of a living being. The stars flickered, aligning in strange patterns, forming shapes that almost looked like words. And for the first time in his life, Admiral Kale felt something he had forgotten long ago: hope. But far away, in the cold chambers of the Imperial Palace, Lurok stood before the Emperor and spoke the words that would change history. "If humanity truly awakens, there will be no empire left to rule. We must strike before they return. The Emperor nodded slowly. Then let it begin. And somewhere in the endless dark, the stars themselves seemed to tremble, as if aware that the true war, the war between creation and control, was about to begin. The Imperial Armada gathered at the edge of the outer void, a fleet of more than 1,000 warships. Massive dreadnoughts, carriers, destroyers, and cruisers filled the darkness, their engines glowing red against the cold black sea of stars. It was the largest military assembly in centuries, ordered directly by the Emperor himself. The mission was simple: find and destroy the human ship before it could awaken whatever ancient power it had started to call. But beneath the steel and command orders, there was fear. Every soldier, every captain, every admiral remembered the last transmission, the human voice saying, "Project Genesis is complete. The awakening begins." None of them understood what that meant, but they could all feel it. Something had changed in the galaxy. Admiral Kale stood at the bridge of his flagship, Vornax, staring at the vast fleet under his command. His orders were clear, yet his heart was heavy. Deep inside, he knew they were not facing an ordinary enemy. Commander Rhine joined him. "All ships report ready, sir. The fleet awaits your command." Kale didn't answer at once. He watched the scanners showing only static and empty space. Then he said quietly, "Open long-range detection. Let's see if the void answers us." The screens flickered. At first, there was nothing. Then, a ripple, like a wave moving through space itself. Energy levels spiked. The crew stared in silence as something began to form out of the void, just like before. Light twisted. Shadows bent. And once again, from absolute nothingness, the human warship appeared. It was even larger than they remembered, its black hull covered in shimmering blue veins of energy. No weapon ports, no visible thrusters, yet it radiated power unlike anything known. The entire Imperial fleet froze. Even Kale could not move for a moment. "All ships hold fire," he ordered firmly. "Do not engage until I say." But one of the younger captains, eager to prove himself, ignored the command. His cruiser fired a full volley of plasma torpedoes. The glowing missiles raced toward the human vessel, and then stopped in midspace, frozen as if caught by invisible hands. Time itself seemed to halt around them. The torpedoes hung motionless, their engines still burning but unable to move. Then, one by one, they turned around and flew back toward the Imperial cruiser, hitting it head-on. The explosion lit up the void. The ship vanished in a burst of white flame. The fleet fell into chaos. "They've turned our weapons against us," shouted a captain. "Admiral, what are your orders?" Kale's voice remained calm. "Hold position. Do not fire. This is not a normal battle." On the main screen, the human warship began to move, slowly, gracefully, almost like it was drifting through time. It passed through the wreckage of the destroyed cruiser without even touching it. Every system in the Imperial fleet started to malfunction. Engines flickered. Shields collapsed. Targeting systems went blind. It was as if the very laws of physics no longer applied. "Sir, our reactors are losing power," Rhine shouted. "We're being drained." Kale looked at the data. The human ship was absorbing energy from the surrounding space, feeding on it. Yet it still didn't fire a single shot. It was not here to destroy, it was demonstrating control. "Open communications," Kale said. The comms officer hesitated. "They're blocking all channels, sir." "Then boost it manually." The officer nodded and sent an open transmission. "This is Admiral Kale of the Galactic Empire. Identify yourself." For a moment, there was only silence. Then, the voice returned, the same human voice as before, calm and powerful. "We are the memory of what you tried to erase. We are the builders of your stars. We do not seek war." The words echoed across every ship, heard even in the minds of some crew members. "You took our science and made weapons. You took our worlds and built empires. But you forgot why we created them. We came not to destroy, but to remind. Kale felt a strange pull in his mind, as if the voice spoke directly into his thoughts. Around him, officers looked dazed, their eyes unfocused. The human ship emitted a pulse of light. Not an explosion, but a wave that rippled gently through the fleet. Wherever it passed, Imperial ships powered down completely. Engines died, lights dimmed, weapons went cold. Yet no one was harmed. It was mercy, not violence. "Admiral, we're losing everything," Rhine cried. "If this continues, we'll be dead in space." Kale raised a hand. "No. Watch." The light wave stopped right before the Vornax. The human ship hovered there, silent. Then a bright beam shone from its core, scanning the Imperial flagship. Kale stood tall. "If you wanted to destroy us, you already could. Why are you here?" The voice replied, softer now. "Because there is still hope. Some among you still remember what it means to be human." Before Kale could ask more, the beam vanished, and the ship turned slowly away. "They're leaving," shouted Rhine. But as the human warship moved, space rippled again. Multiple smaller vessels began to appear behind it, sleek, silver, and quiet. They had no markings, no weapons visible. It was a fleet, but not for war. They moved like living beings, pulsing with light. "Multiple contacts," the sensor officer said. "Unknown class. They're forming a perimeter." Kale realized the truth. They're protecting something. A moment later, the scanners detected it, a massive structure forming behind the human ships. It looked like a gate, a ring of pure energy spinning in the void. "My God," whispered Rhine. "They're building something." The voice came once more. "The awakening is near. Do not interfere." And then, with a burst of white light, the human fleet vanished through the gate, leaving the Imperial armada drifting in silence. Engines dead, weapons silent, hearts heavy. Kale stood on the bridge, staring at the empty space where the ships had disappeared. He knew this was only the beginning. The humans had not come to fight. They had come to prepare the galaxy for something far greater. And as the Imperial fleet floated powerless among the stars, every soldier knew one truth that no one dared to speak aloud: the Empire was no longer in control. The Empire's defeat at the edge of the outer void spread like wildfire through the galaxy. The largest fleet in history had faced a single human warship and returned in silence. No ship destroyed them, yet their systems failed as if the universe itself had turned against them. The Imperial High Command tried to suppress the reports, calling it a communication malfunction, but the truth leaked through officers, traders, and soldiers. Everyone now knew the name whispered across the stars: humans. On the capital world Vale Prime, panic and disbelief filled the Senate halls. The Emperor sat in his dark throne chamber, surrounded by nervous advisors. Grand Strategist Lurok stood before him, his voice calm but tense. "They have technology beyond comprehension," he said. "We cannot fight them directly. We must understand what they want." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "And if they wish to destroy us?" Lurok hesitated. "Then no weapon in the galaxy will save us." Far away, Admiral Kale and his damaged fleet returned to Imperial space. He had not spoken a word since the battle. The image of the human ship, the glowing blue hull, the calm voice, the light wave that froze time, played in his mind like a haunting dream. When the fleet entered orbit above the command world Taris, Kale was summoned immediately. "You disobeyed orders," Lurok accused coldly. "You failed to destroy them." Kale met his gaze without fear. "You cannot destroy what exists beyond reality," he said. "They could have annihilated us, but they didn't. They spoke of hope. They spoke of peace." Lurok's voice hardened. "Peace is a weapon when used by the powerful. Make no mistake, Admiral. If they return, they will rule us." Kale turned away. Perhaps that's what the galaxy needs. To be reminded who created the stars. That night, as Kale sat alone in his quarters, the lights flickered again. The hum returned, the same low vibration he had heard before the human ship appeared. The screens in his cabin glowed bright white, and suddenly a holographic image filled the room. It was the same woman as before, the human commander with calm eyes and silver hair. "Admiral Kale," she said, "you have seen what we can do. But you do not yet understand why we returned." Kale stood silently. "Then tell me, what is your purpose?" The hologram's gaze softened. "You call yourselves rulers of the galaxy, yet everything you build came from us. We built the first warp gates. We gave life to your machines. We guided your evolution. And when you turned our gifts into weapons, we left, to protect what remained of life." Kale frowned. "Then why come back now?" "Because the balance has broken," she said. "The Empire feeds on fear. The stars burn faster. Worlds are dying. Humanity was not meant to dominate through destruction. We were meant to create through unity. We are returning to restore that purpose." Kale took a slow breath. "And if the Empire resists?" Her expression darkened. "Then history will repeat itself. But this time, we will not disappear." Before Kale could ask more, the hologram shifted. The walls around him seemed to fade, replaced by a vast image of space. Dozens of planets appeared, glowing faintly blue, connected by lines of light. "These worlds," she said, "once belonged to the human alliance. Their cores hold technology your empire cannot comprehend. When we vanished, we sealed them. Now, they awaken. We will reclaim what was ours." The vision faded, leaving Kale standing in silence. He felt both awe and dread. The humans were not ghosts, they were architects of creation returning to claim their legacy. The next morning, the Empire's communication network went into chaos. Every major screen across the galaxy, on ships, cities, colonies, suddenly turned to static. Then the same human voice spoke, broadcast across every frequency. "This message is for all species under the Galactic Empire. We are the descendants of Earth. We come not as conquerors, but as witnesses of what was lost. The age of fear is ending." The message was followed by a holographic image of an ancient planet, blue oceans, white clouds, and green lands. "This was Earth," the voice said. "The origin of all humanity. You erased its name, but not its memory." Billions across the galaxy watched in silence as images of humans building starships, cities, and gates filled the screens. The Empire tried to jam the signal, but every attempt failed. The broadcast ended with 7 words, "Humanity endures. The stars remember us." On Vale Prime, the Emperor watched in fury. "They dare speak directly to my people," he roared. "This is rebellion." Lurok bowed slightly. "It's worse, my lord. It's faith. They're giving people something to believe in." Across the Empire, uprisings began. Slaves and laborers stopped working. Colonies declared independence, raising old human banners once thought extinct. The Imperial fleet was stretched thin trying to control the chaos. And through it all, strange beacons of blue light began to appear on the edges of star systems, unknown structures orbiting suns, transmitting silent energy pulses. Scientists called them echoes. Kale knew what they were. "They're anchors," he said quietly to Rhine. "Points of connection. The humans are building something. Maybe a network, maybe a weapon, but it's growing." Rhine asked, "And what do we do, sir?" Kale looked out at the stars. "We listen." Days later, Kale received another transmission, coordinates leading to an uncharted system beyond the void. The message was short and clear: "Come alone. The truth awaits." Against orders, Kale took a small ship and entered hyperspace. As he emerged, he saw a sight that stole his breath. A vast structure floated before him, a colossal station, shaped like a ring of light, larger than any world he had seen. At its center was a glowing sphere pulsing with energy. Then the voice returned. "Welcome, Admiral. You are standing before Earth Command." Kale's mind went silent. Earth Command, the myth, the heart of ancient humanity. It was real. You built all of this, he whispered. No, the voice said. You did. You just forgot. The light around him flared, and in that instant, Kale understood. The humans were not returning to rule. They were returning to awaken something inside every being in the galaxy, the memory of what it meant to be human. The Empire's golden age ended in a single sunrise. The day the humans revealed the truth, the galaxy changed forever. Billions had watched the ancient images of Earth, the blue planet that had once been home to all humanity. The people of the Empire, humans, hybrids and alien species alike, saw their origins and began to question everything. The streets of the capital world Vale Prime filled with protests and rebellion. Imperial soldiers refused orders. Slave worlds rose up in defiance. And above it all, the stars themselves seemed to pulse with strange blue light. The awakening had begun. In the high towers of the Imperial Palace, the Emperor stood before the vast windows of his throne chamber, his face pale with rage. They've infected the galaxy with lies, he hissed. Grand Strategist Lurok stood beside him, his voice cold. It's not lies, my lord. It's faith. The people now believe they were never meant to serve. They believe they were meant to create. The Emperor turned sharply. Then we will remind them who rules the stars. His hand slammed down on the control panel, activating the most powerful weapon ever built, the Stellar Annihilator, a superweapon hidden within the core of the Empire's greatest dreadnought, capable of burning an entire planet into ash. If humanity wants to rise again, the Emperor said, his voice trembling with fury, then let them rise from their own ashes. The target, the coordinates of the human awakening signal, the place where Admiral Kale had last made contact with the mysterious fleet. Kale, now branded a traitor by the Empire, had gone silent after his last transmission. No one knew where he was or if he had survived. But in the hidden reaches of the void, Kale stood aboard the human command station, Earth Command, watching as energy fields shimmered across its massive surface. Commander Era appeared beside him, her holographic form glowing faintly. The Empire prepares its final weapon, she said. They think they can erase the truth again. Kale looked at the swirling sphere of light at the heart of Earth Command. And can they? Not anymore, she replied. What they don't understand is that the awakening isn't a weapon, it's a memory. Every being born from human creation carries a spark of us. They can't destroy what already lives inside them. But the Empire didn't believe in memories. As the Stellar Annihilator charged, entire sectors went dark. The weapon drew power from nearby stars, draining their light until the sky itself dimmed. Scientists on Vale Prime warned that such an action could tear the fabric of space, but the Emperor ignored them. Fire, he ordered. And the weapon fired. A beam of pure white energy shot across the galaxy, faster than light, aimed at the coordinates of the awakening. On Earth Command, alarms blared. The energy spike was massive, unlike anything recorded before. Kale watched the approaching wave on the display. Can we stop it? He asked. Era's voice was steady. Not stop. Redirect. The human station began to glow, its rings spinning faster, bending the very space around it. As the beam struck, reality itself seemed to ripple. The wave of destruction split into fragments, curving and folding like liquid light. The energy didn't explode, it disappeared into the heart of the station. When the light faded, Earth Command remained unharmed. The Stellar Annihilator's energy had been completely absorbed. Then, slowly, the sphere at the station's core began to expand, glowing brighter than ever before. Era turned to Kale. They tried to destroy us with our own creation. Now they will see the truth. Across the galaxy, every beacon, every satellite, every awakened machine lit up in unison. The light spread faster than thought, connecting systems, planets, and ships. On every Imperial world, holograms appeared in the sky, images of humans standing among stars, their voices echoing through the air. We are not your enemies. We are your beginning. The Empire is built on the bones of unity. It is time to rise again, not as rulers and slaves, but as creators. The message was heard by all. Imperial troops dropped their weapons. Citizens filled the streets in tears and awe. On slave worlds, chains melted away as the machines that once enforced control turned against their masters. The awakening wasn't just light, it was knowledge. It reprogrammed minds, systems, and hearts alike. The stellar annihilator, drained of power, exploded under its own unstable energy, destroying the Emperor's flagship and half of his fleet. On Vale Prime, the palace shook as shockwaves hit the planet. Lurok ran into the throne chamber, shouting over the alarms. "My lord, the weapon failed. The humans absorbed it." The Emperor's face twisted in disbelief. "Impossible." But as he spoke, the sky above Vale Prime cracked open with light. A single human warship, the same that had appeared months before, descended slowly through the atmosphere. No weapons fired, no armies attacked. It hovered above the capital, silent and brilliant. Then a voice filled every mind on the planet. "Humanity endures. The Empire does not." The ship released a wave of blue energy, not deadly, but cleansing. The machines that enforced Imperial control shut down. The towers that symbolized power crumbled. The Emperor fell to his knees as the world he had ruled turned to dust. From orbit, Kale watched the end of the Empire. Era stood beside him. "It is done," she said softly. Kale's voice was heavy. "You destroyed them without firing a shot." "No," Era replied. "They destroyed themselves long ago. We only reminded them." Across the galaxy, the symbol of the Empire vanished from every banner, replaced by a new one. The circle with 3 lines, the mark of the returned humans. The age of domination had ended. Worlds once enslaved now stood free. The humans did not claim them, they guided them. Era turned to Kale one last time. "You still don't understand what the awakening truly is," she said. "It is not about us returning. It is about you remembering." Then her image faded, leaving Kale alone among the stars. He watched as light spread from system to system, painting the galaxy blue. Humanity had not come to conquer. They had come to free creation from its own arrogance. The Galactic Empire had fallen, and from its ashes, something new began to rise. A civilization built not on fear, but on memory, on unity, and on the endless echo of humanity's will to endure. The galaxy was silent after the fall of the Empire. For the first time in 10,000 years, there was no war, no emperor, and no command to obey. Planets that had been slaves to fear and control began to breathe again. The old banners of the Empire were torn down, and in their place, a simple emblem spread across the stars, a glowing circle with 3 lines. It was not a flag of conquest but a symbol of connection, the mark of the new humanity. Yet peace was not easy. When the light of the awakening faded, chaos filled the vacuum it left behind. Systems fought to govern themselves. Old rivals argued over borders, resources, and the meaning of freedom. Without the Emperor's iron hand, the galaxy stood on the edge of either rebirth or destruction. Amidst this uncertainty, Admiral Kale became an unwilling leader. The man once called a traitor was now seen as the bridge between the humans of legend and the species of the present. He had not sought power, but history had chosen him. From the command bridge of the Vornax, now repaired and renamed Hope's Light, Kale looked out at a galaxy reborn. Reports from thousands of systems arrived every hour, calls for help, alliances, and rebuilding efforts. He sighed, feeling the weight of responsibility. "We brought down the Empire," he murmured, "but can we build something better?" Beside him, Captain Rhine smiled softly. "You always said victory wasn't about destruction, it was about survival. Maybe that's what this is." Kale nodded, though his eyes remained distant. In the weeks that followed, remnants of the old Imperial fleet approached Kale's growing alliance. Many expected vengeance, but Kale offered them peace. "You once served an empire built on fear," he told them. "Now serve a purpose built on truth." Slowly, one by one, ships lowered their weapons and joined him. The United Stellar Accord was born, a council of worlds sworn to protect freedom and knowledge. It was not an empire but a promise. Still, the shadow of the past lingered. Deep in the ruins of Vale Prime, survivors of the old regime gathered in secret. Among them was Grand Strategist Lurok. Scarred and bitter, he stared at the shattered throne room. "The humans think they've won," he growled, his voice filled with venom. "But they've only changed the mask of control. They speak of freedom, yet they will rule just like the Emperor did." Around him, a few loyal captains nodded. "Then what do we do?" one asked. Lurok smiled darkly. "We wait. Every light casts a shadow. Even theirs." Far from Vale Prime, the human fleet had not vanished completely. The great ship that had once appeared from the void now rested in orbit around a newborn star. Inside its glowing halls, energy pulsed like a living heart. The entity known as Era watched silently as new worlds formed in the starlight. When Kale appeared through the projection channel, she turned toward him. "You did what we could not," she said. "You gave them hope." "Hope is fragile," Kale replied. "They look to me for answers I don't have." "You don't need answers," Era said softly. "You only need to remind them to keep questioning. That is what it means to be human." Kale looked at her shimmering form. "Will you stay? Help us rebuild?" Era shook her head. "Our time here is ending. The awakening was never meant to bring us back. It was meant to pass on what was forgotten. Humanity's spirit now lives in all of you." Her voice grew fainter. "The old stars are dying, Admiral. But the new ones, you must guide them." Kale reached out, but her image flickered and disappeared into light. The human ship began to glow brighter, its structure dissolving into pure energy. Within minutes, it was gone, its essence scattered into the cosmos like dust made of stars. Across the galaxy, sensors recorded a sudden burst of blue light. It was not destructive, it was creative. New stars were born in its wake, forming a spiral that glowed like a beacon. The galaxy had changed forever. Months turned to years. The united stellar accord grew stronger, connecting once isolated worlds into a vast network of trade, learning, and peacekeeping. Old Imperial weapons were dismantled, their materials used to build research stations and habitats. Children grew up hearing stories not of conquest, but of the awakening, the day humanity reminded the galaxy of its origin. Kale grew older, his hair turning silver, his eyes tired but still bright. He rarely spoke of the war anymore. He preferred to listen to the voices of young explorers, scientists, and leaders who carried the flame forward. One evening, he stood on the balcony of Hope's Light, watching a nebula bloom outside the window. Captain Rhine joined him. "They say the humans became light," she said quietly. "That they're still out there, watching us." Kale smiled faintly. "Maybe they are. Or maybe they became something greater. The truth doesn't matter. What matters is that we learned." "Learned what?" Rhine asked. "That power means nothing without purpose," Kale said. "That creation is stronger than control. And that no empire lasts forever, but hope does." At that moment, a faint shimmer passed across the stars. It was almost invisible, like a ripple of light moving through space. Kale saw it and felt a strange peace. "Do you see that?" he asked. Rhine nodded slowly. "Yes." "What is it?" "A reminder," Kale whispered. "They're still with us." And somewhere in the endless dark, beyond the edge of known space, a voice seemed to whisper through the void, a voice not of command or conquest, but of memory. "We are the builders of stars. We are the dream that never ends." The galaxy glowed brighter, as if answering the call. For the first time in recorded history, all major worlds joined together under one law, the law of creation: to build, not destroy; to seek, not dominate; to remember, not forget. And as new generations rose under that light, they looked to the sky not in fear, but in wonder. The humans had vanished, but their legacy had not. They had become the very essence of progress itself, woven into the soul of every being that looked up at the stars. The Galactic Empire was now only a memory, a warning written in dust. The new dawn had begun, a dawn not of rulers and empires, but of unity, curiosity, and endless creation. Humanity had not returned as conquerors. They had returned as teachers, leaving behind a lesson that would echo forever through time and stars. The greatest power in the universe is not control, it is the courage to remember who you are.